Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the mobile game tutorial. So, last time we've created this menu scene. Right now what I'd like to do is actually tackle the player texture because they're not looking quite great and we can modify that today. So let's go ahead and do that. You're going to find your texture. If you remember, you made a player texture earlier on. It was looking something like this. So this is how it looks. We have the first row, second row, third row, and also fourth row. Now, what I was thinking about doing, because we increase the price every 4, if I remember correctly, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this one is 300, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one is 500, 2, 3, 4, and then finally you got the epic skins, which are really expensive. Right. So what I was thinking about doing is like the first line, add a pattern, like a really simple pattern. In fact, we could even not add any pattern, just be plain color for the first line. And every single time we just alter the color a little bit. So a slight alteration, and then every 4 we do a bigger alteration. Now, said like that, it doesn't really make any sense. I'm just going to show you what I mean. So I'm going to take my bucket tool, and I also have a palette that I'll be using. So the default skin is going to be something quite light, so maybe this color. And then the one next to it, the second skin that you can buy, is going to be a little bit darker, and then we keep going like that. And the last one is going to be even more dark. Why not? Like this. So these are the 4 base color I'll be using for my skin, and you're gonna be able to see them in every single other skins below them. So let's go for the second row now. Second row, same color, but we do a pattern change. So we add some kind of, maybe some kind of line crossing through them, or you know what, the line crossing through them is actually a good thing. Let's create a new layer and actually try it out. So here it is, that's the layer 1. Let's find the center of that afterward. So maybe give it a white color, why not? So a white line. And now we have to center this the best we can, maybe like this. And that's it, that's our first line of skin, that's our second line of skin. And for the third one, we could be, we could be adding 2 lines instead. It's really simple. Of course, it can be more complicated if you wish to make your skin more complex. But I don't know if you noticed, complexity is not something I like too much when it comes down to making these tutorials. Okay, so third row, we could be taking this, putting it in the same folder, then moving it downward, say about here. And we could have a line here and also another line down there. So I duplicated my layer by hitting Ctrl J and then Ctrl T to move it down. Okay. And now as for the epic skins, those one are really expensive. This one being 2K and the first one is 1,000, I believe. So 8K and 2K. So over here you have to be a little bit more creative, I guess. We could be adding like circles, or I don't know, like this skin could be worth 2K because black is not a color we use anywhere else and it's actually stand out on its own. So you know what, I'll be putting black and white in there. So maybe white is going to be the number 12 texture and black is going to be the number 13. Like so. Or you know what, never mind, they're going to be the final skins. Okay, so those ones are really expensive. And what else could we do? Oh, we could go ahead and just add some circles in there. So I'll just be using the same color. Oops. So maybe this color, and then skin number 14 or 13, this one, and then we do another pattern, something unique like a star shape. Let's try with a star shape. Do we have any shape in there that looks like a star? We don't, however, we have a heart, We could be putting a heart. Why not? There we go. No, but really, just have fun with your texture. Just make pretty much what you want to make, and there's no limit. However, there is something that you must know before going into this. You actually have to understand how the UV is made, the UV of the sphere, because we're actually pasting this on a sphere, and the UV is a little bit different than what we're used to with cubes. And I will show you that in a moment. Let me just finish this little square, not square, I mean this little shape. There we go. Right. Those are the best skins you've ever seen. So I'm going to save this, and let's go show you what I mean. So save as, we're going to save as a PNG inside of the assets folder. Then inside of, I think, resources level, yeah, that's where we put it. Okay, now overwrite this, press OK. And if you go in the game, now everything should have pretty much just changed. So if we go to the shop, here are our skins. The one with the stripe. And we can't really afford the rest, so that's a bit annoying. Let's go ahead and give ourselves some money so we can afford pretty much everything. Let's do this amount. Right. Now the heart shape is not going to work, obviously, as you can tell. What else is not going to work? This is fine. I think that this is okay. So you can't go and just make like really nice drawing on this, because the way that the UV works, it's going to stretch it quite a lot. As you can tell, this is not like normal behavior of a UV that we would have made on a cube. But you just have to play around with it. You can test it out right away by putting your PSD inside of the folder and just saving it as it goes. So right now the only two ones I want to change, are these two. So two heart shape, and I really like those with the two stripes. Let's go ahead and see what it gives us in the game. So we get something of the sort, which I believe is really cool. Now if you were to take the heart shape, just to see how it looks in game, why not? Yeah, you can't really see the heart at all, and it's not, you know, you're better off just making abstract patterns instead of making actual shapes and actual actual designs. So you don't go drawing on this, don't go like all out and painting good stuff, and but however, I think that we could be putting a circle in there. Circle isn't too complicated. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and take my two lines over here, copy them, put them in my fourth row, like so. Maybe I don't want to affect those two, so I'll just scale it down. And then add a circle inside of those. So let's go check. Circle, ellipse tool, and maybe like that. And I had a white circle like that. Maybe move it a little bit in the center. Now as you can tell, I haven't made a correct circle. In aspect ratio this doesn't look great. On the texture it doesn't look great, but on the actual ball I believe that it's going to look good, like an actual circle. So let's save this, have a look. I'll maybe move this a little bit like that. Save as, we're gonna save as a PNG, if I can find it. Here it is, assets, resources, player, and here is our player texture. Okay, now back in here, as you can tell, our circle didn't look it didn't look good on the texture, but right here it actually looks fine. And we could be rolling with that, I believe. Okay, so that's pretty much going to cut it for the texture. Now what I'd like to do is actually replace those preview, because right now what we see right here is just pretty much, you know, it's the same exact skin as we're gonna see on the player, but they're actually two different stuff, because this is the player, what we saw over here is the player texture cut in Sprite, and what we see on the ball is simply the player material. So it's not cut in Sprite, it's the whole texture, as you can see here. And they're two different entities. That way we can actually go back and modify our sprite texture or create a new sprite texture. And that's what I'm feeling like doing right now. So what I feel like doing is actually create a new texture like that. So that's a 1024 by 1024. Let's go ahead and just create a new real quick. 1024 by 1024. Now I'm going to take the whole content of this. So can I just take all of these folder, hit Ctrl C and Ctrl V on the keyboard? No, I can't. I think if you put your window like that and you actually try, you can do it. Okay, so I pretty much just duplicated my texture, my PSD file. You can go on your Windows Explorer and just duplicate it if you wish, but that's how I did it. So let's anchor this back and move it in the center. Now what I'd like to do is actually create preview of that on the ball. So okay, so for the preview I'll do something fairly tricky, to be honest, and hopefully you can follow if you wish to do the same thing. Else you can go ahead and just make your preview a little bit different. So what I was thinking on doing is creating a new camera in the scene temporarily. So create camera and angle it somewhere where there is a lot of green. So I'm looking at the floor right now, 90 degrees down, I believe. Oh, almost. So what I'm doing right now is I'm making a setup so I can take picture of these, and let me just try it out really quickly. Okay, so this is the kind of preview you want to get down here, as you can tell. Now I'm going to change things a little bit, so I'm going to go on my camera, my second camera, put the depth on -2, remove the main camera tag, else my game is not going to work anymore, and turn the other camera back on. Now this way I can actually navigate through my game like that and actually change the texture. So let's start with the first one, right? Click on the first texture, and then I'm going to turn off my main camera, and here it is. So with that I will do a print screen and actually copy this to my clipboard. Now I'm going to go in Photoshop and first row, so where is that? It's over here. Paste it right inside of the first row like so. Okay, let's go ahead and do the second one. So turn my main camera back on, click on this guy, turn it off, and that's my second. Now sorry for the loud noise, I'll just go ahead and turn it down. And we just keep going like that. Now I'm going to use this as a reference for the size, because we want them to be pretty much all the same size. Okay, like so. We can also add rulers guide. So if we go under filter, no, it's not filter, my bad, it's view, we do new guide. Now we'd like to have a guide every 20%, I believe. Oh, never mind, not 20%, we have to do 25 divided by 2, so 12.5. We just go ahead and remove that. We want to have 12.5%, and this is going to be right in the center. Now we need to do that every 12.5%, so next one is going to be 25. Oh, never mind, it's not going to be 25, it's going to be 25 plus 12.5, so 37.5%, and we just keep going like that. You have to do it on the horizontal axis as well if you wish to be pretty much perfect everywhere, so I'll just go ahead and do that. New guide, 37.5, and then again, now it's 50 plus 12, so that's 62.5. New guide, vertical, 62.5%. And finally, 75 plus 12. So that's 87.5%. Right. Okay. And the final one, 87.5% in horizontal. Good. So now we pretty much have grids everywhere, and we can use that to center our balls. So, something of the sort for this guy, and something like that. Now the anchor point for my sprint screen aren't really great, so I can't base myself on that. And those two look really similar, but it's a little bit darker on this side. But this is actually a live preview from the game, so it's, you know, it's more realistic. And then if we take this texture, do a turn off on this camera, print screen, save to clipboard, and now you get the picture. I'm not going to take you through the whole process of taking those in picture and just putting them in here. Okay, so we are done taking pictures of pretty much all the skins. Now what I'm going to do is actually clean this up. So if you can see here, they all have the green background, and we also have the old texture that we're going to remove. So I'm going to start off by removing all of the old texture, so we have an alpha background we can play with. So here we go, removing that, and also the white strips, the ellipse, and what else? That's pretty much it. So just make sure that you clean this up so you only have the balls left. And once we're done with that, like so, we are going to remove the green around it. So I'm going to take my wand tool and just select and remove. So clicking like that, changing layer, and I'm going to do that until all of these have no more greens around them. So it shouldn't take too long. I'm actually quite glad that it's that easy to remove. Sometimes it's actually a little bit harder because the background color isn't as clean as this one, but in this case we got it well. And here we go. So we're pretty much just done making the preview texture. Now what we're going to do is actually save that somewhere as well. So let's go ahead and hit Control Save or Save As. And I'm going to start by saving the PSD in case I need to do some modification to that. So let me just put that in my game folder. Here it is. Next to player texture, that's the player texture preview. And now let's go ahead and just save this as a PNG inside of the resource folder as well. Why not? So assets, resource, player, and that's the player texture preview. Right. So save as, and it should now be inside of our folder. And we're going to turn this one as a sprite as well. So the player texture preview, I'm going to go in texture type, make this a sprite 2D in UI, and then we're going to do a multiple sprite sheet. Again, let's go back in the sprite editor, hit apply, and we should now be able to slice this. The way we're going to do it is by clicking on slice. We're going to do grid by cell size, and we know that all of these are 256 by 256, so just enter that up here and then hit slice. Here we go. We should have multiple new sprites. Okay, go ahead and clean up the camera you made earlier so we don't need it anymore. Then I'm going to press play. Okay, so when we actually boot the game now, we actually get the nice little display here. They actually work, but the reason it works is because it's taking directly from the resource folder, and right now we have too many texture because of the player texture. So what we're gonna do is actually, I was thinking about totally removing this, and since I'm not sure it's going to work, I'm going to make a backup. So let's take this, actually move it outside, see if it is still working fine. Now I'm going to hit play, go in the shop, and here is the result we get. So that's fairly cool. And with these new texture, I think that we can change the mask a bit as well. Now what I'm going to do is just reset my game, because right now I can't see the price for some reason. So let's go ahead and do reg edit. go into Windows, Mobile RB, that's the name of my game, and I'll just go ahead and just remove the currency, current skin, and also current skin availability. Click on play. And if we go to the shop, this is the kind of result we get. Okay, so it is looking fairly great. However, we broke our player material, and that's fine. Let's just go back on player material and assign the player texture again. Now, the player texture has to be outside of the resources/player folder. In fact, what I'll do is simply drag and drop it inside of our texture folder, which is inside of artwork. So right now, my player texture is inside of artwork/texture. So just make sure that on your material, you have the texture assigned, the old one. That's the preview, and that is the old texture. Okay, say we hit play now, and actually try changing our skin. Oh, we need a little bit of money. Let me just go put that in the, where's it at, the game manager. So maybe 9,000. And as you can see, we can buy skins on the go, and we can actually preview them beforehand. So that's a really good stuff. Right. Okay guys, so that's going to be pretty much it for this episode. Thanks a lot for watching. If you learned something or if you enjoyed the video, please just go ahead and leave me a like. I really appreciate that. And you know, there may be some fixing to do in terms of the preview. As you can tell, this one is much bigger than this one. And you know, it's just a matter of just playing around and making this look perfect. Alright guys, so like I said, thanks a lot for watching, and if you have any question or comment, you can always leave them in the comment section below, and I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. Please leave as much detail as you can on your errors. Sometimes it's really hard to just follow up, and you know, try to leave as much information in the description as you can if you have any errors that you need some help with. Other than that, I will be pretty much seeing you in the next episode. Thanks a lot for watching, and bye bye.